Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another weekly webinar. Today, we are really excited. I have gotten to know Joyce Crack over the last couple months very well as we have been into different groups and different discussions for businesses as we're looking toward reopening and recovery. If you're not familiar with the Small Business Development Center, they do amazing things across the state, and we are really fortunate to have a local Shenandoah Valley SBDC, which Joyce is in charge of. And it's been really interesting to get to hear from her and what she's hearing from across the Commonwealth, what they're doing to help businesses, and what they're specifically doing to help businesses here in our area. So she was sharing with a group that I was on a week or so ago about some really cool resources that they have put on their website that can really help. So we asked her to join us today to share with some of our members and business community what they can offer, how they can help, and what resources they have for us, especially during this time. They are obviously available to us anytime, all the time, any kind of business, but they've been especially important here in the last couple months, really helping to share resources and guidelines and the most updated information, especially from across the Commonwealth. She was sharing with me that she had been on a call weekly with other advisors from across the state. They've been sharing really good information, so that's super helpful to us here in this area. So I'm going to turn it over to Joyce and let her introduce herself and talk about SBDC, and then she's going to go through some resources and share with us. As always, this will be recorded and available to you to watch later from our website. And if you have any questions during this, please feel free to use the chat feature. Type the questions in there, and then we'll try and leave some time at the end if you have any other questions. So Joyce, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate you. I know you're a busy lady, and we appreciate you taking the time to be with us. So we'll let you share what you've got.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Courtney, and the Chamber for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. And as Courtney said, we've worked on some other task forces and web chats, and so it's really nice to be here with the Chamber, even if we can't be here. We're all learning to communicate visually and verbally instead of in person, and it's nice. So I'm going to tell you today a little bit about what the Small Business Development Center does and the services that we provide. And I'm going to focus on a particular resource that our state SBDC network has put together. And then, as Courtney said, if you have questions throughout, put them on the chat room. Courtney or Kim or someone will sort of watch that, interrupt if needed, otherwise we'll save them to the end for some questions about anything that we've talked about or things that we didn't talk about. You can ask questions about the SBDC. So I've shared my screen. I hope everyone can see it. If you can't, chime into the chat board or something, but there should be a screen that you can see that says SBDC clients. Actually, yeah, that's where I want to be. These are the types of clients we see. A lot of people think that the Small Business Development Center is only for startups. That is not correct. More than half of our clients are existing businesses, established businesses for anywhere from 2 to 10 years or forever. And so these are some of the sort of identifiers of the types of businesses. I'm sorry I have to turn my head to see my screen and not see you, but we have aspiring entrepreneurs. So these are the startups. If you're interested or you know someone who's interested in starting a business and would like to sort of talk through their idea and make some plans and sound decisions for that, we serve them. Established owners, as I said, we talk to established businesses about adding products, about reaching new markets, hiring, and all the challenges that any existing business has, especially in the last 6 months or so, where we've had to deal with a lot of different changes and a lot of different challenges that businesses have faced. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. We do work with nonprofits, boards occasionally. I want to pinpoint there that this is for operational or financial or marketing type things. We do not spend a lot of time with the establishment of nonprofits. That's a very specialized kind of features and challenges, and that's not our specialty, it's not our mission. And so for startup nonprofits, we have other resources to help with that. But if the nonprofit board is looking at operational or more business type challenges, we're glad to work with them. And then of course our economic development and chambers and all of the other types of services that are in our communities are our partners, and we enjoy very much working with all of those and being collaborative. That's part of our mission as well. I should say that we cover the Shenandoah Valley SBDC covers from Page County, all of Rockingham, all of Augusta, all of Rockbridge, and Highland and Bath. And of course, there are 5 independent cities in that area as well. So we cover all of that territory. It's called our service region. That does not mean that someone who's outside our service region, say across the mountain at Afton, couldn't contact us and work with us. We'd be glad to do that. We don't draw lines in the sand. However, I might suggest to that person that we have an office in Charlottesville, so which is more convenient for them. Same is true for the northern part of the Shenandoah Valley, where as we get up to Mount Jackson and Edinburgh, we have an office at Lord Fairfax in Winchester. So again, it's who's most convenient for the business. We're not going to say, no, we don't serve you. But we might say, you know, my colleague in Winchester, Christine, knows about your county much better than I do. So she's going to be a better resource for you because I don't know the contacts and the business elements in Frederick County or even Shenandoah County. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our host, James Madison University. They have hosted the Small Business Development Center, been our fiscal agent for, we're now going on 31 years this fall. So we're very proud of that association. We're very grateful for the association with JMU and their support of the SBDC for that long. That's a very, we're the longest SBDC in the state of Virginia. We kind of are tied with Longwood, but you know, she's not on the webinar, so I'm going to claim first. And Blue Ridge Community College, of course, is a great partner to us as well with their classes and various things that they do. So what do we do? Basically, we offer confidential, no-fee consulting. So those are 2 very important parts of our service. It's always confidential within the SBDC office, and it's at no fee to our clients because of the way we are funded through the Small Business Administration, through JMU, and through the counties like Augusta County that help fund us. So that is why you as a client are not going to have a fee associated. We do low cost or no fee training. And one of the things that we're very grateful and proud for is that we have a national organization. There are SBDCs all across the country. And so we have access to national, state, and local resources through our networks of Virginia Network and the Americas SBDC, a national network. There are about 1,000 SBDC centers in the country. Just recently, some of the things that we've been doing with the under the pandemic and the COVID challenges is there for a period of about a month. We served 225 businesses through emails and phone calls, and they were all having to do with the COVID and the loan programs and things like that. At the time that I wrote this, which was actually about 2 weeks ago, 51 of those had already received their funding, 61 were waiting to hear. I'm sure those numbers now are much higher because more funding has come through. And in that batch of funding, $3.9 million came into the Valley in those loans and grants from the SBA. And I think that's just a phenomenal number for our Valley, that nearly $4 million came in to help our businesses through the SBA and the federal programs. So we're really glad for that. And I'm sure that number now, again, has increased. Real quickly, and this will all be on the recording, so you'll see it. some of the services I'm going to show you are our Shenandoah Valley website with resources on it. We have specific programs. I'm not going to go through all of those. You can see them listed there. May not make a lot of sense to somebody, but we can talk about the types of programs that we have licensed to use that the typical business cannot access. We have number 3 is subject matter experts. We have subject matter experts in a variety of these industries you see. These are our advisors on staff that we can pull in if this is a type of business that you are in and we need some expertise. I'm going to come back to number 4. Just recently, we've added 5 new advisors. This came because of the COVID challenges, and they all have those subject matter expertise. And I'm very, very glad to announce that Betty Hogue, who has been with us in the past, some of you might know that name, but she went and was the director in Charlottesville. She's coming back to us as an advisor, part-time advisor, and because she sort of retired, but she didn't really retire. And she will be working out of the Augusta County Government Center in Verona to serve the clients and businesses in Augusta County as well as Rockbridge. Once we can, she'll be serving you virtually like this, and then once we can be face-to-face, then she'll be in her office and you can meet with her there. And so we're very, very happy to have Betty Hogue back in our circle and serving specifically Augusta County. Today I'm going to talk about the Virginia's SBDC Recovery Resources Center. This is the Review, Reopen, Recover element of, and let me get to it. Okay, so on the Virginia SBDC website, which is just exactly what I just said, Virginia spelled out, SBDC, the acronym, .org. If you came to their homepage, you would see this, and it will flash through here. This rotates, but you can come down, or excuse me, you can go up here to Recovery Resources, and that's going to take you to what we're going to talk about today. My computer's a little bit slow. So,
hey, Joyce, we can't see the screen that you're talking about. I don't know if you want to show the website or.
Oh, you can't see the screen yet?
No, we still see the PowerPoint presentation.
Hold on. My fault?
That's okay. There we go.
Now, it said new share. Okay. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
So this site was created by a team of Virginia SBDC advisors from a variety of places around the state. And they went to a lot of work and research to find credible resources. We know that if you Google anything about business, COVID, business challenges, new businesses, startup business, whatever, you're going to find Google is just going to inundate you with information and links, and they come from everywhere. You can find information on Facebook. You can find information on Twitter. We wanted information that was solid, that had been vetted, and was coming from a credible resource. I'm not faulting anybody that posts anything on Facebook about their experience, but we really needed something that brought everything together that we knew was correct and timely. And so the team that has been working on this updates it frequently, and they vet every resource that they list. So I'm going to be showing you some of that today. There's a place to contact your local information, but if you come on down, you'll see, and I'll sort of try to split the screen here. We have Review, Reopen, and Recover. And I'm making all sorts of hand gestures here, which you can't see, and I don't know, I can't talk without moving my hands, but and then underneath we have guidance for specific industries and a place to contact us. I'm going to come back to the industries here in just a minute. But I wanted to introduce this Review, Reopen, Recover part of the website. As you'll see, there are subtopics under each one, and you can enter this resource at any point that is comfortable for you. Some people like to start at the beginning and just go through it. Others say, you know what, I'm really interested in staffing, so I'm going to go there first, and open that up. And what you're going to see under every one of these subtopics is when it was last updated and some questions, usually 5 or 6 questions, very simple, very quick kind of assessment of where you are in your staffing challenges. So do you have a plan? Does it need to be phased through this plan? Are you going to need to lay anyone off? Of course, this was more appropriate at the beginning, but you still may have these challenges. Are they going to be able to work fully or partially on a remote basis? Some businesses that works well for them, others it doesn't. And what kind of communication have you had? And so these are just questions to get you sort of started thinking about where you are in this particular part of the recovery process. And in answering them, you might then decide, you know, I'd really like to talk to an SBDC advisor about this challenge that I have, about the answer or not being able to answer, or I feel like that's not the best answer. And I'm challenged by this. And so this is an opening to let you then say, this is where I want to start our conversation. At the bottom of almost every one of the little subtopics, you're also going to find related resources. So again, they went to the first place of information, the most credible. So we're talking about human resources, the Department of Labor. These are some webinars that some of our other co-partners, Lynchburg SBDC did. Again, they were vetted before they were put out. The America's SBDC site has a clearinghouse of related resources. And so you're going to find the resources here that are appropriate for the topic. And again, they're updated frequently and vetted before they go on here. All of the SBDC advisors in the state, we are at about 60 now, have contributed to this, but it doesn't go on the site until that committee looks at it and decides that it's a reliable source. So I'm just going to go back a little bit. Just pick another one that somebody might be, oops, went back too far. We hope that we're kind of moving into this area, reopening and then recovering. And so some of these might be more appropriate, but I wouldn't skip these assessments. The assessments are really interesting and helpful for whatever stage you're in, really. So let's just look at the cash flow assessment, because cash flow is a big issue for any business at any time, but especially right now. And so again, questions about what you've done already to manage and research what your cash flow is really all about. So have you determined how much you really need? Do you have a balance sheet and a profit and loss? A lot of small businesses don't. They work on a paper module. They may actually have QuickBooks, but never really look at the P&L. And we know this. We work with businesses all the time that don't have or don't understand the reports that come out of their financial computer system or on paper. And so we have advisors who are well trained in all of these fields, and they can help you understand what your P&L is telling you, understand what your balance sheet is telling you, identify potential errors. We see a lot of times with, you know, we're talking about QuickBooks or any computer-based, you know, the saying, garbage in, garbage out. But I'd rather focus on it's not garbage, it's just an error that was made in posting. And that affects all of these financial reports, sometimes in a negative way. And we're trained to see those, recognize potential problems, and help you get back on track. So anytime you're talking about cash flow, financial projections, looking back at the history in order to make those projections, think of the SBDC as a resource for you. We talk about, have you spoken to your lender about loan terms? Some of you got the PPP or the EIDL loans, that's fine. Again, you need to be thinking about how you're using them, how you're using those funds, what purpose they're for, and the rules around them. We're well versed on all of those. We try to stay up on all of the new rules that are coming out from the SBA and from Congress, and they change, as you know, they've changed frequently, and it's been a bit of a tussle to get them all, but we have them. And again, we have that network of fellow advisors across the state, and we talk to them virtually, visually like this every week, and the emails go back and forth every day. There are emails back and forth between us about questions, clarification, who's been looking at what, and who's been really studying a particular topic. So you benefit from the knowledge, shared knowledge, and accumulated knowledge of 60 advisors when you talk to me or any of our advisors. So I'm smarter than I look because I have 60 people behind me supporting me, and I don't know everything, but between us, we put it together pretty well. So cash is a big one, and a big topic for us to be discussing as you reopen, as you go forward. And what we really like to think about at this point in time is the recovery period of time. And if you're a little bit not quite open, if you're a little bit in the middle stages right now, this is the perfect time to be thinking about that recovery and about what you're going to look like in August, in September, in January of 2021. What is your business going to look like? What is the model that you're going to be following? It's probably going to be different. You've probably already made some changes in your business to serve your clients, to serve your customers, to meet your targets. But what is that going to look like in January of 2021? I think that every business will be different than it was in January 2020. We hope that that's for the better. We hope that the process has let you come out of all of this on a better scale and a better model. But that's what we want to help with at this point in time. That's where we're really focusing our energies at the SBDC, is on that recovery stage. And what is your marketing going to be like? What is your technology going to be like, or your record keeping? What kind of new ideas have come out of all of these challenges that you can say, you know, that actually worked. I never thought about it before, or if I thought about it, it didn't really, I didn't really have time to implement new ideas because I was running a business. I was busy running a business. Well, I've had a little time now. I've had a little slowdown. It's irritating, it's frustrating, but it gives me time to think and talk to an SBDC advisor or talk to fellow businesses and say, you know, I could implement this idea I had way back when. I have time now to think about it and implement it as we come out of this crisis. And so we want to really be talking to businesses as they're going along right now about what's coming up next and what it's going to look like next. And we have a webinar in the works. We'll get that information to Courtney and Kim and the chamber as quickly as we have that date set. But it's all about looking at what you were and what you want to be, and how do you get from one place to the other? How do you get from A to Z? And what actions are going to be needed to bring you out and bring you at a stronger level when you re-emerge from whatever challenges you're facing. So we're very excited about that. I want to go on down here a little bit. We have guidance for specific industries here. We will be adding others as they go. Agriculture is the next one to become online here. They're gathering those resources right now about ag businesses. But so if you have a restaurant, if you deal with the Alcohol Beverage Control Board, if you have retail, salon. And so again, I'll just pick one, childcare. Again, we're going to have some guidance. This is not so much about the resources and the questions as it is just simply industry level information. So we have guidelines for opening from the governor. We have linked to some early education business consultants that we work with. And so for each of the different industries, excuse me, keep going back too far. I know we have lots of restaurants that are dealing with lots of issues. Again, we have the guidelines from the governor. We have the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, I think that's yeah. We have OSHA for safety, CDC again for safety and health. So lots of links, and you'll see these links of credible industry organizations. And almost every industry has an organization or an association or a membership platform. And so whatever industry you're in, look for that and see what kind of resources they're offering, because they're usually more credible than just word on the street. So we've got the National Restaurant Association, we've got the ServSafe information from Virginia's Restaurant, Lodging, and Travel Association, again, food safety, and again, some slides and resources about different parts of the food industry, the restaurant industry. So again, we'll continue adding. If you have a resource, if you know a resource that you think is really helpful to your industry or to your business, send it to me. I'll show you how to send it to. I'll forward it on to the committee, and if they can vet it and find that it's credible, they'll add it on here. So we're looking for those resources so that we can build this as strong as possible. So we're glad to take suggestions for what should be on here or what would be helpful to you. What would be most helpful? Maybe some of the questions that you saw. Maybe there's other questions that would be helpful. I'll use the back button this time. And then, of course, there's a contact us, which leads to the list of all SBDCs in the state. Now, I'm going to show you how to contact the Shenandoah Valley SBDC, but I did want you to know and see the variety of SBDCs we have from Northern Virginia. This is my cat walking in front of me. I apologize for Fred. Fred likes to see who's on the webinars. And then he sticks his tail in my face. But from Alexandria to Southwest Virginia to the ports at Hampton, even on the peninsula, there's an SBDC serving any business in those regions. So we cover the entire state. We serve every jurisdiction, every county that is out there. Yes, Fred, we know you're here. Let me go to, this is the Shenandoah Valley website. I see that there's at least one chat, I think, maybe. Is that, let's see what that is. Oh, okay. Thank you, Courtney. VirginiaSBDC.org. Spell out Virginia. Thank you, Courtney. This is the Shenandoah Valley SBDC website. So maybe Courtney will type that one in. It's Valley SBDC. I tried for SV SBDC for Shenandoah Valley, and Silicon Valley beat me to it. So we're not Silicon Valley, thank goodness. We're the Valley SBDC. This is in the process of being refurbished, rehauled, but it's all the resources will stay here. So if you come to our website and you scroll down just a little bit, you're going to see this COVID-19 news and resources button. And that's where we put everything that we have as far as resources, as far as blog entries, updates on announcements that have come out of our region or the governor. Here's the latest phase 2 information that you may be aware of. Excuse me, I'm gonna have to get a little moisture. Thank you. New information that came out just recently about the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, and the new forgiveness rules that have changed since the beginning to make it a little more accessible. So this happened to be a webinar. Most of those get archived, and so you can find them again. So this is just a sort of an ongoing blog type of page where the further down you go, the older it's going to get. But some of that might be of interest to some of you, and finding what you need. Now, there is where it says link to the SBDC Business Resource Guide. That's another page. It's coming back to this. I thought that we had another page. I could be wrong about that. She may have just followed over to that one. So, and combined all of ours. Allison Dugan, one of our advisors, oversees this and updates it on a regular basis, as you see. So that's our website. There's lots of other information out here about consulting that are not COVID related. They're just the services we offer, the consulting types of things, the training calendar and what's coming up. Other resources, some stories about us, and as I said, it's getting updated. So here's our current staff, but there are 4 more to be added to this. As I said, we hired new advisors, so there are additional folks to be added, and you'll see that updated soon. So if there are no chat questions, I am open to any question that you have. If you'd like to talk about anything that we do or the Chamber, our partnership with the Chamber, this would be the time. And I guess Kim or Courtney or somebody will unmute you if you have. Really, Fred, that's just disgusting.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. I know there's a lot of information there. It's really neat. I love that they have the particular industry guidelines. I think that can be really helpful. And especially having the links and different things from associations. That was a really good tip that Joyce shared with me the other day, that she's been advising people, check with your association. So if you're a bank, in the Virginia Bankers Association, if you're a restaurant, there's a restaurant association. If you're, name it, there's probably an association or industry specific to it. So those are really good places to start. And they have a lot of links to these. So feel free, if anybody has any questions, you can unmute yourself and shout them out.
I couldn't have covered everything, so.
There's a lot there. Definitely feel free, dig into it later. I know Joyce is going to share her contact information. And then you have that Valley SBDC website that you can go to. And then they do, the e-newsletter sign up. They do really great information and resources that they send out through their newsletter. So definitely register to get that. If you want to type your email address into the chat, we'll share those with Joyce and she can get you signed up for that newsletter. So you get that information as they send it out.
And our newsletters are at the most 2 a month, but typically 1 a month. We're not going to bombard you with a lot of things. And frankly, that's just because we don't have the time to do it, but we do try to send out at least once a month, sort of an update. We'll list webinars or training that's coming up, announcements that need to be shared, but we kind of keep it kind of short and sweet about that.
What are some things, some of the more common questions you've been hearing from businesses the last couple months? I know you and I were talking about, you don't know what to ask if you don't know what to ask.
Right.
So what are some things you've been hearing kind of over and over?
Well, of course, with the pandemic and the SBA funding loan programs that Congress released, a lot of our conversation has just been about how do I apply for an EIDL loan? What do I do with it when I get it? Why haven't I gotten it? That's a big question. Why haven't I gotten it yet? The PPP, the same thing. The biggest question for that, of course, after how do I get it, was the forgiveness piece of it and how do I manage that? And so we can talk about that and run some numbers with our clients. Yeah, I wanted to be down here at the bottom. So those are, those have been a lot of big questions, but on a typical time period where we're not dealing with a crisis situation, typical questions have to do with cash flow, with how do I manage that? I feel like I'm running out of money, but I don't really know if I'm profitable. So again, we're looking at those financial reports. Marketing is huge. Marketing is a huge question, a big over-encompassing. It takes in so many things when you say, I need marketing help. But we do have advisors who are well trained in that. We're going to break that down into what the real needs are. We're going to break it down into who you're trying to reach, what channels, and that means what methods you're going to use to reach them, whether it's social media, Facebook, whether it's emails, newsletters, your website. Typically, it's many of those things put together. So marketing is huge. And one of the things that we see pretty much continually basis is think about when you go to the doctor. And you might go to the doctor because you have a rash on your arm and it itches and and it's been there and you don't know what to do about it and nothing seems to help. And so, doctor, I have this rash, and people will come to the SBDC. I have a rash. I have the equivalent of a problem that won't go away and I don't know what to do about it. A good doctor is going to help you treat that rash, but they're also going to say, we have to figure out what's causing the rash. And we take that same approach in many cases. What's causing the problem? There's a deeper question than just put an ointment on the problem and it'll go away. And so we love to talk to our clients and dig a little deeper with them, with their help, and say, what's causing this problem? So I need more customers. Okay, well, that's a problem, but that's a symptom of a problem. What is the real issue of why you're not getting enough customers? Do they not know you exist? Is your social media and advertising not up to par? Do you have a product disconnect so that the customers you want aren't really your target for the products you offer? Do you have bad customer service? We hope not, but we want to talk about that. So how do you engage your clients? How do you engage your customers? Those are the questions that need to be asked before we apply that ointment to the rash, if that makes sense to you. The other thing that I really want to emphasize as far as the question that Courtney asked about types of questions we get and things, we're not here to tell you what to do. We're not here to do it for you. We're not here to say you must use this type of social media or you must hire this type of person. What we're here for is to help you make good decisions so that you have the information to process, so that you have the resources to use, so that you have somebody to bounce off ideas, or we present ideas, we present options. And so my most successful interaction with a client that I get satisfaction from is when they leave and they say, I feel good about the decision I made because I had the help, I did the work, I studied a little bit, I weighed the options, and I've made a decision on how to proceed, and I feel good about that, and it's got legs under it, if that makes sense. That is so satisfying to the SBDC because we didn't do it for you, we didn't tell you what to do. You came to a good decision on your own and you learned a lot in that process. So that's sort of our MO, if you will, about how we might operate with a client. And we meet with clients anytime, well, within reason, that you want. So some clients we meet once and the issue is resolved and that's fine. Some we meet many times. I have one client right now that I meet with every Thursday afternoon. We have a plan of action that she's going through, and we're meeting every week just to keep that on track. We have clients that we might not see for 4 years. They come, we do some things, they go, they run their business, everything's cool, And then years pass and they come back and say, oh, well, I've got another issue now I want to talk about. I got another rash. And so this is a service for you all to use as is appropriate for your business. There's no set agenda. There's no set curriculum. There's no limit like, oh, you can only come 2 times or anything like that. So I see there's some more questions, and there might be some verbal ones too if you want to chime in. I'll go up here to the chat. Please add me to the emails. I'll definitely do that. Oh, hi, Jennifer. Good to see you. I don't see you, but nice to know you're there. Jennifer Whitmer. So yeah, we'll keep those emails on track.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Joyce. This was so helpful. Again, you guys make sure you check out those 2 websites, the Virginia SBDC and also the Shenandoah Valley SBDC, to see what information is there. And then you can also, of course, reach out to your localities to see if there's anything specific about those. So thank you, Joyce. We appreciate all of the hard work that you and the SBDC team do. We know you guys are a phenomenal resource, and you probably don't get as much recognition as you should because you all do so much work. We see it and we appreciate you. Thank you to everybody for being here today. Again, this was recorded, so we'll pop it on our website a little bit later this afternoon. We appreciate you guys being here and hope you have a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you, Courtney. Bye, everybody.
Bye.